What's something women deal with every day that most men wouldn't even realize until they experienced it themselves? The sheer age at which they start getting sexually harassed. If you asked most men what age they think girls start hearing uncomfortable comments, most would probably say 15-16. Most women I know had something said to them at like age 10. Plus, how often it happens. It's not some rare occurrence. When I was working with the public, it was basically every day or every other day. I even got marriage proposals from an old couple who were looking for their son to get married. He wasn't even there, and we spoke different languages. It took me 3 tries to understand. They were trying to ask, "Are you married?" There were lots of guys older than my dad. 2. WFH during COVID was a huge relief. I went to the park with my dog during COVID. I was unemployed, dog likes the park, and there's a lot of back trails no one goes to. Win-win-win. An older couple praised my dog, always a plus, called him very handsome. I agree. Very well-behaved dog most times, and BTW, was I single? Couldn't escape that interaction until I got their son's number to call him later. Also that it doesn't just happen when you're wearing, like, shorts and a small top. I've literally been catcalled in loose jeans and a zipped-up hoodie, without makeup and my hair in a bun. I was 13 the first time I was inappropriately touched by a male adult. Really changed the way I view and feel towards men. I still remember when I was a little kid, a man tried to rape me, but I managed to escape. Another time, a stranger broke into a public bathroom, and again I was able to get away. Fast forward to today. Those experiences taught me to always be aware of my surroundings and to live with a mindset of prevention. Jesus, I didn't realize half the population lives in a horror movie. I got the most amount of catcalling through sexually explicit and aggressive shouting from men when I was in school uniform aged 11-14. This is extremely common for women. That thought is so bizarre. Like at that age, I was still playing with toys and shit, while my fellow female counterparts had to deal with this. Like, I only really started being any interested in girls at like 1415, with puberty and all. But to think that some adults look at girls way younger than that in a sexual way is just disgusting. I can't even fathom what kind of fantasies led to thoughts and actions like that. We have been trying to tell you 3. I was assaulted at 13 by an employee in a fun house at a county fair. It was a moment right out of a horror movie. I was 11 and walking to the library in overalls and a pink long-sleeved shirt when 3 men in an old car pulled up to me and offered me 20 to get in and suck them all off. One even opened their door to get out. Luckily, there was a mail carrier nearby, and I ran to them and clung on and asked for help, and the guys took off. My mum had to explain to me what they had meant. Some guys tried to lure me out of my house when I was 12. They kept trying to get me to go to their truck, and I finally had to scream out to Dad, who wasn't there, to wake up and that some men wanted to talk to him. They ran to their truck and drove off. I think these men mask and don't usually let normal men know they're like this. So it seems so rare to y'all. It's like we've been screaming about a problem most of y'all can't see. If you can ever work this sort of awareness into conversations with other men, that would do us a huge favor in the long run. I was in 4th grade or so 8-ish, I guess. I thought he did it by accident, so I never told anyone. It was in a public pool. I was so young, and nobody had ever told me what to call those parts yet, so I didn't know what to say anyway. This is why young children need to be taught the correct terms for things from infancy, and that if anyone who isn't a doctor or appropriate person touches down there, trusted adults need to be told immediately. Thanks to my lack of education from my parents' complacency, I didn't fully realize what had happened to me until I was in my 30 seconds. For me, it started at 11, and we're told how to act safe and dress safely so we don't get assaulted. Like it's our job, FFs. I had my long skirt torn off at a concert when I was 15. Then a guy behind me held onto me, and I still don't know if he was helping me or helping the guy that attacked me. I was dressed safely. We all know that advice is nothing but shaming women. I had large boobs by 12 and started getting stares. I was out with my mum, my daughter, and my niece. My kid looked her age. My niece, who was 13 at the time, looked like she was 17-18. We were walking to a pizza place and 2 guys made a sexual comment about her. I said, "Gross. She's 13. They apologized profusely. Maybe it would be better if men simply did not make sexual comments to strange people on the streets. I remember at 12 my dad ordered a pizza. I answered the door, and the pizza guy was humping me and trying to chat me up as I was handing him the money. My dad walks up behind me, deadpan staring at the guy with the angry dad jaw muscle twitch visible. She is 12, he took the change and slammed the door. After pizza, he talked to me about men in general and started teaching me self-defense that day. He was the best dad ever. When my wife and I went to a street festival, we were walking behind my stepdaughter, who was 12 years old at the time. So many older guys would turn around after she walked by to check her out, even while they were walking with their and family. My wife was publicly shaming every one of them, yelling, "She's 12. Yup." And then it magically decreases by 90-95 once you're 21. This is what I've told younger women is the best about getting older. I'm in my mid-30s, the decrease in attention from random ass people you didn't invite to talk to you in the first place. It fell off for me in my late 20s, but man, I love the freedom of movement with it all now, right? I still get attention, but not as much as when I was a teen preteen. Men aren't as obvious with it now as they were before. Literally so true. Now that I'm in my 20s, the only time I get harassed is if I go out with my partner and am holding her hand on the street. We're lesbians. I'm sorry to hear that. I know someone who's also a lesbian, and she told me that men talk about how hot their relationship is. Like you. I was walking down a beach with my 13-year-old daughter and could not believe the leers and looks she was getting from men. I started to yell at them. She's a child. I would get this from men at 12. And my mum would yell at them and tell them my age too. I didn't even get what the men meant. I was walking in the street with my daughter when she was 11, and these guys in a car started catcalling her. Before I could say anything, she barked like a dog at them and they looked stunned. I laughed so hard, but was also pretty pissed off that she had to experience it in the first place. Going to the beach at even 8-9, I always felt my hair stand on end when a creepy old dude was leering. They didn't even have to say anything to make me uncomfortable. My grandpa, when I was 12, stared at my body and said I was sure filling out nicely. I told my mum how uncomfortable it made me, and she's just like, he's getting older. He might have forgot he was your grandpa, not even addressing. He's also an adult staring at a 12-year-old's body. It's really also gross as an adult meeting with elderly male relatives who seem to forget I am not only 40 years younger than them but also related with their grody comments and hands that try and grab squeezes. I tried explaining this to guys at work and they were like, "Nah, don't be silly." So I said, "Go ask your daughters." Sure enough, by the end of the week, every single guy had said their pre-teen kids had been sexual harassed in one way or another. I was pretty creeped out when my girlfriend pointed out an older man, probably in his 50s, was ogling my then 12-year-old daughter. Yup, I was 11, walking to school. The day labor place was right next to the school that I had to walk by every morning. Whistles, honking, following. When I was 11. Yep, 12 years old, wearing shorts, reaching over a coffee shop counter to fill a water cup. A man pinned me to the counter for what felt like forever and rubbed his erection up and down my butt. My 12-year-old butt, in public, while laughing, while a friend laughed along. I remember I shook like a leaf for the rest of the day and hid to cry. I was too embarrassed to tell my parents. The inappropriate comments started when I was 5. That's how bad it is. My first clear memory of a man hitting on me. I was fucking 5. 1980, Mum took me to the local bar. Sat me on my stool next to hers and ignored me, while this dude groped me in front of everyone, feeling unsafe or uncomfortable in places where men might feel okay. Before reading any of the comments, this was my initial thought. Walking through a parking lot alone doesn't matter what time of day or what kind of neighborhood I'm in. It's always on my mind until I'm locked in the car. Yes, my husband thinks it's weird that I immediately lock the doors when I get in the car. It's a safety thing that apparently men don't think about. I don't have to think about it. My car thinks about it for me. I thought the doors on all cars built this century locked automatically. Not trying to sound like a smart ass, I seriously thought that. Don't forget, also checking the seat behind you to make sure nobody got in and immediately locking the doors. As a man, we definitely do this too. It seems like a bad idea not to. I was on a train once, 4 seats on each side of the aisle, 2 and 2 facing each other. Wife is at the window. I'm next to her at the aisle. We see an older woman in her early 60s coming down the aisle. looking for someplace to sit that doesn't have someone sketchy or creepy in the 4-pack of seats. She stops at us and asks if she could join us. We both said, "Of course." She sits down and within 10 minutes starts nodding off, leaning against the window. Then she jolts back awake, realizing she fell asleep in a public place. My wife tells her, "You're good." Hell would freeze before he'd let anything happen to either of us, motioning at me with a sweet smile. The woman said, "That's sweet and thank you," and then proceeded to sleep for the next 50 minutes until we woke her up where we were all stopping. That was over 15 years ago, and I still remember the entire interaction in vivid detail. Women are constantly in a stage of, "Can I trust you or not?" when interacting with men. It's truly sad to think about. As a larger guy, I never deal with any threats at all. I'm sorry for the struggle so many of you go through. I wish more guys just acted normal, appropriate kind. Maybe one day. I think this 100,000 would be the biggest surprise to most men. Even my gay male friends, small and skinny, don't understand this. Just constantly thinking about who is on the street. Do I have my phone where the closest lighthouse weapon is? I am the least anxious person I know and have traveled to scary places by myself as a 5'2" woman, but these are still constant thoughts. The fact that the most dangerous time for a woman is when she is pregnant or breaking up with a man because they might murder her. Source 1. Source 2. Man breaks up with a woman and maybe the worst she will do is stalk him/his tires. My 10-year-old son noticed an older man staring at my 13-year-old daughter. My son became concerned and went to stand by her side and tried to look menacing. I wasn't there when it happened and I'd like to think my son misinterpreted the look. And maybe the gentleman was just thinking innocently and in a non-creepsexual way that my daughter is very beautiful. Because she is. But I was once also a 13-year-old girl, so I know it's not always innocent. Jesus. Good on your son. He sounds like he's going to grow up a good man. If even your 10-year-old son noticed it, there was no doubt about the look. You're raising a good man already. And, if he felt it, he was correct, and acted accordingly. Having to sit on gross public toilets for both 1 and 2. Spending 1 week out of every month enduring PMS, pain and bloating, and spending the week after that gushing blood and washing it off everything. Having to plan vacations and anything fun around when this is going to happen. All nice pants having shallow pockets. Constantly checking if makeup is smudged, if bra straps are showing, if skirt is up, if blood stains are showing through, etc. The constant knowledge that there is literally nothing you can do if someone of the opposite sex decided to harm you because of your lack of size and strength. I used to go to musical festivals all the time when I was younger. Every single time I went to Bonnaroo, I was on my period. Listen, having to go into those nasty porta potties at a tripping on a not insignificant amount of LSD and Molly to change my tampon, that's some traumatic shit. It never failed though. Every single time. That pocket thing seems so unnecessary. It's as if there's a conspiracy. A lot of this is stuff most men already know about. But something I get a lot of surprised reactions from is when I talk about the generalization of our gender. If a man hits the curb while turning, it's because he was distracted or misjudged the distance. If a woman hits the curb while turning, it's because she's a woman and women are bad at driving. It's like that for so many things. A man makes a mistake in a video game, it's because he slipped up or the other guy was better. A woman makes a mistake in a video game. It's because she's a woman and women are bad at video games. A man gets angry at something he's working on, it's because he's passionate and wants to succeed. A woman starts crying out of frustration with something she's working on. It's because she's a woman and women are overly emotional. Just in case someone missed your point there, a man points to the wrong direction and he makes a mistake. A woman points to the wrong direction because women have no sense of direction. A man raises his voice in anger. He's making his point clear. A woman raises her voice. She's being hysterical. A man works 4 days a week and has 1 day with the kids. He's an awesome, involved dad. Woman on the same schedule, working to mishapsent mother. A man takes charge and he shows leadership. A woman does and she's being bossy. Reminds me of the blanket insult of you do XYZ like a girl to mean it's done badly or embarrassingly. Having to be nice. A woman can be so incredibly accomplished, capable, brave, articulate, wise, beautiful, but she'll always be asked by everyone around her to be nicer. Being nice will always take time away from actually attaining the things that will give her any sort of power or respect. But God forbid she forgets to be nice, because then she'll be really good. But where a man would be excellent. Also smiling. I admittedly have resting bitch face. I used to work at a liquor store and people work comment that I needed to smile. I hate fake smiling. Kinda sucks. It's even called a resting bitch face when you think about it. Dudes don't get told they have one. They're just seen as neutral or bored at worst. This one actually has some overlap with being a black man. Black men are expected to be capitulating, articulate and agreeable. If not, you're labeled the angry black guy, seen as being threatening or violent. And people are extraordinarily quick to wanting to escalate to police intervention, or in the case the police are involved, some kind of physical altercation. That you can be likable, but are then seen as incompetent. Or you can be competent, but are then seen as being unlikable. This is proven by research. I did not make this up. And the older you get, the worse it gets. How your personal space is seen as negotiable by the men around you. Like when you are walking down the sidewalk and women are almost always the ones who move out of the way of men. Or a man will touch you to move you out of his way at a bar. Have you ever tried not being the first to move out of the way if you and a man are walking towards each other? They will literally plow right into you and act incredulous. They just assume you'll make space for them. Or you're on an elevator. A man gets on and it's like you are in a body occupying space hell. Get right up next to you. Fuck off out of here. Phone's literally designed for male hands, so be prepared to struggle. Form-fitting t-shirts that suit only the skinny. Car seat belts digging into your neck, even adjustable ones unless you raise your seat till your head almost touches the ceiling. Being expected to change your name when you get married. Heavy on the t-shirt part. Why do I either look like a box or have every piece of flesh suctioned by polyester? OMG. I hate how they keep making phones bigger. Like? No. Just no. They need to keep making smaller models. Of course, if they did, they'd probably be pink and more pricey. Phones are too big for most of our hands too. I can only imagine what it must be like for people with smaller than average mitts. The massive amount of comments we get about our bodies. Mine started when I was barely 4 years old. I was shamed for being hungry a half hour before lunchtime. That's just your fat cells wanting you to get fatter. I was a chubby child. So they thought they were entitled to make rude comments about my body. It's one of my earliest memories. Decades later, I still have issues with food. Not being believed. No matter what you've said. Men don't believe me, but let another man repeat what I've just said. They believe that guy. It's maddening. No matter how ugly we look when we leave home, some man is going to bother us. Sir, I just want to buy cheese. I'll look busted AF going to Walmart. Doesn't matter. I bought some ugly-ass mumus specifically to wear to go grocery shopping, having to plan outfits around whether you'll need to run, sit on the floor, or deal with whether it's like a mini logistics game every morning. This one. Except I always assume I might need to run, so heels are never very high or uncomfortable. Having to do everything we're expected of while bleeding out. Clothes without real pockets. A tragedy. My wife said it was every man staring at her like meat for sex and as person secondarily. Every second you are in public, having it on your radar that you could be in danger. Prob from a dude. Keep 6. Be aware. Going to the doctor and receiving less empathy than a dog at a vet's office. You're having a procedure that pries your cervix open and shoves a piece of plastic into your uterus? MEH. Take some ibuprofen beforehand. You'll be fine. You have debilitating headaches every single month that leave you stuck in bed, barely able to open your eyes? Don't worry. That's normal. Try drinking a cup of tea. Having your own job explained to you by someone with less experience. Men fear a woman will laugh at them. Women fear a man will harm them. I'm a dude. And the amount of times I've seen men mansplaining almost every little thing to women is absurd. And then get very offended if you mildly respond. I know. People following us. Men will silently follow us or walk beside us as if we are together for as long as you let them. Most of us stop and pretend to search your purses for something or look in a random window display or check our phones. So the guy has to keep walking ahead of us. But it's creepy. Tits any sort of size to them and it can get miserable. Can't randomly run or jump if you're not wearing the right bra. Back hurting. Straps digging, the underwire poking through and stabbing you. Chafing if you get sweaty. If your bra's not supportive enough, it starts to bother your neck and you get headaches. If you let them hang free, they suffocate you while you are lying down. Can't wear half the clothing options because nothing fits right or they'll be hanging out. Then you have to size up to fit the chest, and then the rest is too big. And if you have to size up to plus size, it's more expensive, with fewer options that are all awful. Or with the new trend of crop tops, there's not enough length because your tits use half of it, so everything is too short. Not to mention bras are hella expensive. If you don't fit the off-the-rack ones, you have to order them and hope they fit. Also, it's hard to be taken seriously in a professional setting with large boobs, and that's extra challenging when your clothes don't fit like they should. Do you go frumpy or tits maggy? At least if my tits are hanging out, I might get a raise, but at the cost of not being taken seriously. Just how awful perimenopause is. Mine started at 42 and ended at 49. The hot and cold flashes were miserable. I had trouble sleeping and functioning, and I just had no fucks left to give. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Just like periods. Men don't have to deal with it, so there is no way they can understand just how bad it is. All of my friends are still going through it. How much periods really suck. Society's social expectations to suppress who you are to appease others. It's not global, but definitely a trend taking care of their bodies. Men more often take major risks with substances, safety, and physical activities. Women are more often less risk tolerant. I think men would have a culture shock if they had to deal with the consequences of poor choices in the same way women do when it comes to health and safety. The entire situational awareness and injury-based fear between men and women is different. By physical activities, I mean things like boxing, cliff jumping, climbing things, or being pulled behind a truck on a sled at 50 miles per hour by your buddy. Being touched everywhere on one's body as if one is a pet or child or sexual object, which, as others have noted, can begin from one's earliest memories. Being constantly objectified for one's appearance, verbally or physically criticism for being too this or not enough that, physically, all lifelong. Checking the back seat every time they get in their car. Being looked at like a piece of meat. Very demoralizing. Not being able to rub your eyes. Most women wear mascara liner eyeshadow. No matter how itchy your eyes are or how tired you are, you can't rub them. It's not a major one, but it's probably one most men won't have thought about. Hormones. I joke with my husband all the time, how does it feel to be 100 in control of your emotions and your mental emotionality state? I don't use hormones as an excuse day to day, but sometimes it's fucking exhausting. And while he tries to understand and is compassionate, he will never truly understand what it's like to be a woman and have a hormonal cycle fucking with you day in and day out. Most men think, oh, a little bit of PMS and periods. But no, it's all month long. It literally never stops. The cycle just repeats. Constantly being on guard about what a man's intentions are. Always clocking who you perceive to be safe and a threat when you walk in somewhere. Being hyper aware of any sort of detail that might be over-sexualized and give the wrong intention. I could go on for hours. How unsafe it is just walking around. Being ignored, dismissed. Overlooked by professional peers and leadership. I feel guilty for having a daughter because I can't protect her from men and boys all the time. And I know firsthand, specifically what men and boys are capable of. I feel like I can't tell her enough to prepare her or protect her. And it frightens and enrages me. I am traveling right now in a busy city. Guys take up space like it's their birthright. I literally get pushed into. On the sidewalk, I started squaring my shoulders and holding my ground while averting eye contact, and lo, behold people, move over. It's like we're expected to accommodate. Enormous man in the very front of the exhibit at the museum yesterday. Nobody can see around his bulk yet. He took his sweet time. I was in disbelief, a crowded museum and a key exhibit. Move over. On the airplane, older guy next to me bogarted the armrest and was into my seat with his arm. Just left it there like he was at home. I finally didn't move over, didn't shove, but held my ground in my own space and he finally backed off. Sigh. Move over. Men just move where they want in the world with little regard for others. And should you complain, they'll turn it back on you. Well, then say something. Which gets exhausting time and time again. I'm a good foot shorter than you. So consider those behind you once in a while. My favorite is now they're all on their phones, so especially dense about others. Fear that people will see their facial hair. Well, you know, once a month. Sometimes life is busy and somehow you had a very smooth cycle and you'll do the usual pee ritual, and when wiping, you are like, why am I so wet? And then you look down and see so much red. I've been on it for many moons, but it can still feel like a gore fest from time to time. Catcalled at 12, groped at 14, fearing for our physical safety if a date goes wrong. The fear of having to walk past a group of rowdy drunk men at night alone. Having your work belittled or heavily scrutinized at work, and sometimes by guys with less experience. Or having a guy explain to you in detail the job or work thing you've done for years, as if you don't know. This is probably one of the most common frustrations for women at work. Guys won't get the flip from being seen as the decision maker to being seen as the adminotetica foliferol no matter what you do or know. I've seen trans women talk about this happening to them post-transition, being talked down to by men. Guy wears the same type of shirt, tie, and pants style every day, is just a normal guy. Me wears very similar clothes every day, is profiled as plain, a slob, lazy. This is especially true in the workplace, where you're not expected to wear a uniform. I sometimes wish I could be a guy just so I could put less effort into my apparel choices. The discomfort of bras, waistbands, shoes, and their outfit in general. Getting pee on my hands just about every time I wipe after urinating. Toilet paper is thin, and I don't like overusing this resource. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like guys don't wash their hands after peeing as much as girls. Dealing with sexual harassment and unwanted flirtation. Nowhere is safe with men. Women cannot take any normal, safe place for granted. Got sexually assaulted repeatedly by the 60-year man while in the frumpiest clothes imaginable because I dared to fall asleep on the plane last week. To all men who say it happens to us too, I'm in a mood and I'm just going to say systemically, no, it FING doesn't. I feel like it's probably similar for men, but the most frustrating part to me is if you are successful and driven, men tend to think you are a bitch or high maintenance and need to be more traditional so they can feel they are in charge. But then let's say you leave your job to get married. It's like, well, why is your body not perfect? Why do you not contribute? It seems to me that women are in a very difficult part of our evolution in the us of. People need to understand that us being successful at work isn't something to fear, and that if we have kids, our bodies are going to change. It just feels like you can't make people happy. I think 99% of men seek perfection in some way, whether it be power, gobs of money, or the perfect wife. The inappropriate sexual comments at a very young age. Having to plan your travels alone so you are not driving at night. Having to keep your head on a swivel and able to read body language, especially at rest stops or gas stations. Expecting to hear comments about the way you are dressed. Are you asking for attention and sexual harassment, or wearing what you are comfortable in and expecting boys and men to behave with respect as if they were talking to their mother, sister, or daughter? Having to take different ways home every day because someone at work tries to follow you home. Making sure you get gas during the day. Making sure that I am armed every single day and everywhere I go. It fucking sucks to never really feel 100 safe. I never had daughters, but I had sons, and they were taught to respect and protect all females. I got an auto temp ban for that last sentence, just FYI. This isn't every day, but folding laundry last night I wondered about how much time I will waste in my life putting the bra pads back in my sports bras. Mine don't have pads or are the pad. You have options. I never considered how vigilant girls have to be to avoid sexual harassment until I got raped. Giving out fake information, whether it's a fake boyfriend, fake address, fake name, etc. I wouldn't give out my real cell phone number now, but one upon a time, with online dating, I did. One man accused me of lying about my name. Turns out my phone number is still associated with someone who had it before. Dealing with intoxicated people. I'm not pretty anymore and I don't dress up, but still sometimes get too much attention when someone is drunk or high out of their mind. And it's scary that they could hurt me. Also the pockets thing. I don't carry bags, but everyone always called me clumsy for losing phones and keys. I also keep asking male friends if they still have my phone when they are holding it for me, which annoys them. Until I accidentally bought some men's jeans in a charity shop. Oh, my days. You could fit your whole hand and wrist and part of your forearm in the pockets if you fist your hand. It's like a whole bag. Being told to smile when you're just minding your own business. Locking the car doors as soon as I get into it, even in safe places. How often we are told to ignore our gut instincts about a guy because he's not creepy. I swear, he's a great guy. Not able to just go to run late at night or go alone to an empty parking lot without being on alert. I'm traumatized for past experiences of being sexual harassed by men and almost raped by others. Scared of getting raped. I live in a pretty unsafe place, and that's what I'm worried about every day. And also getting robbed and murdered. Women are easier targets here. Sometimes I imagine what would happen if I got raped, and I break down in tears. Martial arts classes. I can't emphasize this enough. Repetition brings muscle memory. Focus on martial arts that teach self-defense and the fear starts to melt away. Isoma Kung Fu is a great start if it's available in your area. Peeing when you sneeze. Never heard a guy complain about that. IV told him no. He won't listen. I had a guy try to find an out where I live because he was convinced I was his crush because we happened to be online at the same time. If they haven't done any kind of training in femininity like women do from birth, everyone would perceive their mannerisms, dress, the way they talk. Everything is rather bizarre. It's not just voice, it's word use, tone, etc. It's the way we all walk differently, gesture differently. They'd have to unlearn the nod or people will think they're weird. The amount of effort put into things like hair, clothing, and accessories, nails, skincare, not even makeup, just to hold a basic standard would be staggering. I would be lost. My daughter gets bad period cramps, so at least I have empathy, even if I don't know what it feels like. Maybe hormonal fluctuations. The mind and body feel different at different phases during the menstrual cycle, so from day to day you aren't the same. Also just feeling less than in general. Having to make yourself small and be nice and agreeable. I think it's a way of being human a lot of men haven't experienced, and they would be shocked or at least weirded out by how different it is to exist in this way. Having to choose which group looks less intimidating. They travel in packs when hunting. Having to be hyper aware of our surroundings. Not wearing our hair in a ponytail. Making sure we always have a piece of ID on us and a key in our hand. Or something like hairspray. Accessible in our pocket. Points for self-awareness, baby. And most of you do not suck. But there are some who do. If you saw the comments I get on my online dating profile, so many of them are just so egregious. Everybody treats the genders differently. I think men will be shocked at the way both and women treat them. Just like how women would be shocked how everybody would treat them differently. And it's not a blanket, good or bad. It's just very different in a bunch of ways. I can go to a bar or party and someone offers me free booze. I can drink it and not be worried about getting roofied or sick.